Well, hey guys, what's up? Look, I'm in a new place. You like my hat? This is Danny's hat. Look behind. He's gonna come visit. Maybe he'll take this back to Texas with him. But I think it fits me. What do you think? Danny, come get your hat. Anyway, I'm out here in the carriage house tonight, and I'm working on organizing it because it's been kind of a mess, really. It's been a mess since I moved in. I put some stuff out here, and I never really organized it well, never took care of it like I should have. And yet I got this really neat bench. You want to see it? I'll show you. It's very neat. Look, it's kind of cool. Isn't that cool? You know, and there's a little window that you can look out on the back's dark, so you can't see anything out there. And it's a big door to the outside. And there's the steps up to the, up to my riding loft. But anyway, I got this, hello. I have this little tripod I'm trying to use, and it's just terrible. But it's what I got here. And anyway, what was I saying? So anyway, I got a story to tell you, because I have been wanting to tell you stories about answered prayer. And if you look over my left shoulder right here, there's a yellow toolbox that belongs to me, and there's an old metal toolbox. You see that? An old metal toolbox. That toolbox was given to me a couple years ago. And that toolbox belonged to my dad, Grandpa Pierpont, great-grandpa Pierpont, my dad. And he lives over in Kalamazoo right now, but he really doesn't work on too much. And he knew I didn't have a ton of tools, because I'm more of a word guy than I am a tool guy. And he brought that over here and gave it to me with some other really nice tools. And they're really special to me because in that toolbox are tools that belong to my dad that I would see him working on the car or fixing stuff around the house for many years. And then I think there's a tool or two in there too that belonged to his dad. My grandfather would be your great-great-grandfather. And his name was Kenneth Dale Pierpont. Anyway, I'm out here tonight and I'm working in the carriage house, in the corner of the carriage house under the stairs that go up to the loft, on getting my workspace all organized. And so that I can come out here and, kind of fix my bikes or work on things that Grandma needs me to fix up. Because and it's the air's moving through here tonight. It's a summer night, but it's really cool. And where this is, there's a little space between the carriage house and the house. And it faces towards the west, and the wind comes blowing from the field over west of us that way. And the wind comes blowing through, and just a beautiful breeze most evenings. And that part of the yard's been shaded most of the afternoon because of the trees across the way, and because of the trees on the property, like 50 trees on the property, big mature walnuts and maples on the property that make it really, really nice. But I wanted to tell you, but anyway, what reason I'm making this video is because I want to tell you a story about answered prayer. And this is a very interesting story because it goes way back when we lived out in the little village of Logansville, Ohio. And I was a little boy. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, probably 10 years old, maybe 9, probably 10. It was 10, I think. And so I had two little brothers, a little baby brother. I had a brother that was a baby, and then a brother that was like 3, and then an older sister, Melanie. And so the 4 kids and mom and dad, the 6 of us lived in the parsonage on State Route 47 in Logansville, Ohio. When you get older and you can look things up on Google, you can look up that little church where it was in Logansville, and you can see that little house that we lived in. And we had a cat, and we had chickens for a while. I think we had a chicken, laid eggs. We had a garden, and I had a tree fort, and we lived there in Logansville. And my dad made $80 a week, and that wasn't much back then, but it was enough to live with the parsonage that we lived in because the church supplied a house for us to live in without paying any rent. And then with the $80 a week and the gifts that people would give us, we could make it. And Dad and Mom, I remember hearing them talking and saying, well, I think we can make it. And Huber Rohr was the treasurer, and he lived in a farm up on a hill west of Logansville. And on, I think it was Friday, I would ride my bike up there to Huber Rohr's house, and I would pick up my dad's $80 check, and then I would ride back down the hill and give the check to Mom and Dad. And then we would go in town, we would buy some groceries and get what we needed. If we had a little bit of extra, sometimes we'd go to a hamburger place called Clancy's, where hamburgers were 15 cents. And if we had a little extra money, sometimes we would stop and get ice cream after we probably wouldn't do ice cream and hamburgers the same night, but on a night maybe we didn't get hamburgers, we might get ice cream. And I remember that was a really special treat. We didn't have a lot of extra, but my mom and dad were happy. And they were happy. My dad was happy to be a pastor of the church. My mom was happy to be a pastor's wife and always singing, always playing the piano and stuff. One Friday night, we would get dressed up to go to town. We'd only go to town like once a week, and we get dressed up like it was a big deal. And we'd go to town and we'd get our groceries, and we weren't really allowed to ask for anything. Mom and Dad always got us lots of nice things, treats and goodies, but they don't ask for things, because we know what we need to get, and we're going to get what we need. So we didn't ask for things. And I remember one spring night, we were driving back home on State Route 47, and it was dusk. It was just at dusk, is right at dark. Beautiful spring night, and I was feeling secure and happy sitting in the back seat. My sister was over on the other side. This must have been before my little brother Nathan was born, or maybe he was a baby in the front seat. But my little brother Kevin, who's 7 years younger than me, was sitting there next to me. So he's 3 or 4 year old boy, was sitting right next to me. And then over on the other side was my sister Melanie. And then we were riding home, and I heard my mom and dad talking. And somebody said, I think Mom said, well, I feel really good. We have meals for, we have food for every meal, and we have meat for every meal. And maybe they said, we have meat for every meal except one. And my dad said, well, we'll just pray that God will give us meat. Sometimes a farmer would give you a cut of meat or a pound of hamburger, or God would provide some money and you could get a pound of hamburger, a couple of pounds of hamburger, and they would make spaghetti or goulash or something like that. We were just driving along, and Dad says, well, God will provide. And right about that time, my dad goes, oh, and suddenly a rabbit ran out in front of the car, and my dad hit the rabbit. And my dad goes, oh, I don't think I killed it. I think I grazed it. Wait. And he stops the car and he backs up and he goes, and I can still see him, with the lights of the car shining on him, going down into the ditch and then reaching down and grabbing a hold of this rabbit and then chopping its neck to kill it. And then he opens the trunk of the car and he puts it in the trunk. And so he gets in the car and he goes, well, the Lord provided the meat for me. I'm like, what? My dad said, oh, yeah. When I was a boy, we would go rabbit hunting, and we would get rabbit, and it's good meat. And we'll have rabbit, and we'll have potatoes and carrots, and it'll be a nice meal. And we took that home that night, and he tacked it up in the basement, like on a wooden, hanging on the end of a wooden shelf, and he cleaned that rabbit, and he got the meat, put it in a pot, and we had it for dinner. Well, that's not the end of the story. There's more to the story. And about a week later, we were in a little town called DeGraff, not far away from Logansville. We were in DeGraff, and we're driving along the street, and my dad goes, uh-oh, and sure enough, guess what? An animal ran out in front of the car. It was a cat, and my dad hit the cat, and it didn't live. And we go, oh no, we ran over a cat. And we were all real quiet for a minute. And my little brother, Kevin, and the little 3-year-old brother in the middle goes, oh, that's going to taste terrible. Like we were going to have to eat the cat. But we didn't eat the cat because you don't eat cats. And if you love kitty cats and puppies and animals, I'm sorry to tell you a sad story. Always take good care of your animals. Feed them, take good care of them. And whenever you need something that you don't have, and especially when other people need things that they don't have, remember, ask God, because God answers prayer. And if God doesn't give you what you ask for, Sometimes he'll give it to you later, or sometimes he'll give you something more that you needed, or sometimes he's helping you learn to be obedient or learn to be patient with your mom and dad. But whatever you do, when you eat, pray. When you go to bed, pray, talk to God. When you get ready to go off to school, if you go off to school, or start your school day if you're having school at home, always pray, talk to God. When you're burdened about something or you're sad about something, talk to God and ask him for things. When you want something, it's not wrong to ask God. Sometimes God will give you what you want. Sometimes he'll give you something better. Sometimes he won't give you what you want because it wouldn't be good for you. And you got to trust him that he knows what's good for you. Just like, if you said to your mom and dad, I want a car. Well, you're 4 or 6 or 7. It wouldn't be good for you to have a car because you would hurt yourself and you'd hurt other people. So your parents are going to say no, not because they don't love you, because they do love you. They're going to say no to what you ask for. Sometimes God will say no to what you ask for. Sometimes God will say yes, though. And that's exciting. When God says yes, like you could pray for a neighbor that they would come to know the Lord. And then you can make them cookies. You could witness to them. You could invite them to church. Or you could pray for somebody that's sick to get better. And then you could send them a card and draw them a little note. Anyway, lots of stuff we could talk about, but I wanted to tell you about that most unusual answer to prayer, the time that God provided meat for our meal by letting us get a rabbit. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.